Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to extend a warm welcome to all of you to the Middle East Committee meeting.
The ongoing oil price war and the resulting lockdowns led to the May WTI crude oil future contracts closing at a historic negative 37 US dollar. A one-day drop of over 300% according to Dow Jones market data. For those among us who had invested in good IT systems, the transition to work from home was almost seamless, whereas for others, quick investment ensured that they were soon connected to their ships. Despite all the success with the business continuity, our fellow seafarers, our frontline workers, have taken the burden of this pandemic. An estimated 300,000 seafarers were unable to leave their vessels after their contracts have expired. Our hearts go out to them and their families. We all appreciate their sacrifices.
So it's good for me to report to all of you that for DNV-GL we have been fully operational throughout this year despite the pandemic. It hit us first in China in January, and then as the pandemic gradually moved west, many of our offices, our employees, our surveyors were naturally affected in the way that they had to adhere to very strict restrictions on travel, which made it quite challenging to perform our duty of helping safeguarding life at sea. But we managed and we did our part, as you mentioned, Abdulaziz, to keep the wheels turning, to keep vessels safe and crew safe and cargo flowing. And I think that all of us, I mean, ship owners, ship managers, the crew not least, and also classification and flags did their very best during this challenging time. And it certainly, we had to challenge a lot of the existing ways of operating. And with all of that, we can say that we really had to challenge the status quo more this year than ever. So I believe that I would like to take an optimistic view to this. So the fact that we had to challenge everything, the fact that we had turbocharged digitalization, the fact that we are now very much looking for new solutions leads us into what I would call a maritime renaissance. And I really believe there is a lot of opportunities now for those that are willing to explore new ways of delivering the service and the transportation that we all are involved with.
It's been a very sharp and deep economic downturn. The graph on the left-hand side of your screen is GDP projections for 2020, and they're averaging around 4.5% decline at the moment. They've picked up a little bit, actually. I would say over the sort of last 2 or 3 months, the economic indicators have got marginally better. To put that 4.5% in context, the financial crisis, if you take fourth quarter 08 to third quarter 09, was around a 2.5% contraction. So we have a situation where the economic impact has been twice as deep in 2020 as it was in 2008. I think we need to sort of peel the onion back a little bit and think about the implications for our industry, for the shipping industry. And the middle chart here makes a very important point, and that's around the regional variations and their economic response to the pandemic. And of course, China, which is shipping's biggest market, it's nearly a quarter of all imports. It's a very significant amount of exports, particularly on the container side. China's on a very different economic curve. I'll show you the specific port calling activity in a moment, but the Chinese economy is picking up quite nicely. And certainly I had a call with our Shanghai office. We have 20 researchers in Shanghai. It is business as usual there. They're traveling around, away days, conferences. Life is very much close to normality.
In the last few years, Mr. Gordon mentioned this as well, so I won't sort of go into too much details, but you can see here that COVID actually having an impact on all industries around the world, but China has been fairly resilient, and the ordering there has declined at not a rapid rate as compared to Korea, Japan, or other countries where there's been a sharp decline in ordering activity. Just to demonstrate, for the last 3 years, I have 2017 to this year, some slides on the diversification in terms of the types of vessels that have been built in China. It's fairly broad, as you can see in 17 across all three of these major nations. That continued into 18 somewhat, but then you start to see in 19, shipyards have specialized more, especially in Korea, whereas China maintained its sort of diverse portfolio of types of vessels that it can build and has built. And then if we look at this year, this is latest figures. Again, the diversification is there to be seen in China, and they've maintained sort of their competitiveness, I guess, in terms of pricing with Japan and with Korea, based on their population, of course, the large number of yards that were active over the years, which increased the number of people working in the shipbuilding industry there, and through sort of competition between the very large number of yards that are there, that allowed them to sort of remain competitive on the global stage.